So welcome everyone. I appreciate you coming today. We have a very special guest presenter, Julius Alejandro, who's going to be joining us and talking to us a little bit more about his area of expertise, which is in content marketing. Now we do have a poll that we have going right now, and I'd love for you to answer it if you can. What are you doing right now to network during COVID-19? And how are you staying in contact with your existing connections and reaching out to new connections? So you can choose up to 3. I'll give this a couple minutes more for everybody to answer that question. It looks like almost everyone has, and then I'll go ahead and share the poll with everyone. And if you have any questions during the workshop, don't hesitate to put those questions in the chat. We'll address all of those at the end of the workshop. And if you do want to ask a question, you do need to unmute your microphone and then we can hear you. But if you're not asking a question, we do ask that you keep your microphone muted and even the camera muted while we're doing the presentation itself. And I'm going to go ahead and close that poll. So if you want to get your answers in, I would go ahead and get them in now. All right, so I'll share those results with you. And we can see what the main, so Julius, can you see those results there?
Yeah, I can. Wow, that's interesting.
Zoom and LinkedIn, it looks like. Zoom and LinkedIn. So for the recording, I don't know if it shows, we have the top by far is Zoom. About 82% of people are keeping in contact with others through Zoom. 68% through LinkedIn, 59% through email, and then it drops down to 45% of you are using Instagram, right? And then Facebook right after. Wow, really interesting, right? Really interesting. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Julius to go ahead and introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about what we're covering today. So take it away, Julius.
Cool. Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Julius Alejandro. I am the director of a new initiative called Village Up, which is a collaborative to bring diversity in the tech ecosystem. I have 10 years of nonprofit professional experience, but also I have my own start my own nonprofit years ago. So I just want to get into it. So relationship management is basically how to be effective networking, and we'll break it down to the content of who you are, your environment, and how you maintain that relationship. So to begin with, kind of tell you a little bit of my story that relates to how I get to where I am now. Is I am a son of immigrants, which means that's where I developed my soft skills, as you can see, and we'll get all into this later, but just want to let you know the basis of, kind of my experience, what kind of shaped who I am, because of immigrant parents and, being Filipino heritage, like dwelling between 2 cultures has been really sharpened up my soft skills. Also, my background is really community organizing. I've been in community organizing since the days of when I was a student at Southwestern College and San Diego State. So that gave me the essence of doing good, especially the social entrepreneurship aspect, but also how to learn how to build relationships. I think that was a key point of being a community organizer, is really learning how to build authentic relationship, and how to leverage those relationships. And most importantly, in the context of San Diego and the intercultural sensitivity lens. Not just dealing with the Filipino American community, but the Latinx community and the Black community and so forth. So it gives me this cultural understanding that I need to be sensitive to, not just my own. And finally, my education. Education is a privilege. I know we got some students here. Education not only provides knowledge, it does provide prestige. And I have to recognize, I have a master's. Not a lot of people have an advanced degree beyond a bachelor's or even have a degree. So I understand how that is a privilege that has gotten me opened some doors just because they saw an MS for a master's in science next to my name. So how does that translate to, in regards to my experience? It's actually in the context of my mission. So I'm very passionate about solving economic development issues affecting underserved communities and marginalized groups. That is my top goal. That is my vision. it allows me to connect with people. And also, what I'm really passionate about is mentoring young adults. That's why I do a lot for San Diego State. Shout out to Lab Entrepreneur Center. I'm a mentor there also, and so forth. Just mentoring students is just like a passion of mine, because mentors helped me out, so it's just doing the same. So with that, let's get into it. So what does this mean? So in essence, it starts with you. It always starts with the individual. All right, before you tackle building a relationship, not just for your business or for your cause or wherever it may be, looking for a job, it really starts on you and your personal brand, a wide recognized and largely uniform impression of an individual based on their experience, expertise, competence. So basically, the question you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to be known for? Okay? What are you projecting to the world? What are you telegraphing? That's really important, because that's where you build your reputation, and also your expertise. What are you going to be known for? What skill sets? Not only what skill sets, but how will people interact with you? And let me give you some examples, famous examples. These are very celebrities. We have Gary Vee, very blunt, tell how it is. You could be like Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He's a little adversarial. You could be Beyonce, just at grace. Or you could be Mark Zuckerberg. They're quiet, but get things done. Very smart, intelligent. So if you see these pictures, they invoke certain perceptions and attitudes. It's the same concept. Like, what do you want to project? Because of their hard work and who they are and their background, they're able to be successful, but only not be successful, but how people interact with them. It could be very adversarial, or it could be very cooperative. So again, it's really like working on your personal brand and being aware of that. And where it starts is soft skills. So hard skills. So hard skills are just hard skills. Like, anyone can learn hard skills. Anyone can learn how to type an email. Anyone can learn how to code in respects. So, but soft skills are a little more interpersonal. So soft skills are a combination of people skills, social skills, communication, and so forth. It's basically who you are. And as I mentioned before, I grew, I came here when I was 5 in the United States. So 2 worlds, right? And I just want to tell a story. Like, I always wonder, people say like, I cannot speak my mother language, Tagalog, but I can understand it. And that never made sense to me. How can you understand something you can't even speak? And I realized, I analyzed it. What I was actually doing was, growing up, my parents was, when they tell me something, when they tell me full sentence in Tagalog, I could remember certain words. So, I do have that capacity to understand certain words, typically translated. So what my mind has been processing ever since I was 5 onwards till now is constructing it. Okay, so I got the sentence, I only know 4 words. I had to rely on so much things. I had to rely on pitch, tone, body language, And I didn't realize like how much I relied on that growing up, especially my parents and my aunt and uncles, like how much that sharpened my skills. So everywhere I go, when I interact, I'm pretty good at like reading people, because I grew up using that skills, traversing my my native culture, and now being in the US. So it's something that y'all need to be aware of in regards to your soft skills. That's something like you can practice. It's really just own it, but it's to be mindful in regards to like, what's your soft skills like. So with that, so it starts with you, okay? So being, kind of do the assessment of your soft skills, and after you recognize it's okay to be introverted. It's totally okay to be introverted. I'm an extrovert. I love being in crowds, in coffee shops. I love like background noise to the max. I love it, but I know some people don't, and it's okay. You could be an effective networker if, even if you're an introvert. Again, it's just recognizing what you have, your skill sets. So do an assessment on some of your soft skills, like, and how, ask friends, like, how am I? Am I, Am I timid? Am I too blunt? So forth. They just get an assessment. So it starts with you and it starts with soft skills. So after that, once you work out, especially when you have to interact with folks, especially now, whatever that means. I know Zoom, email, it's still interacting. You need to understand how you're transmitting this into the field. And it's a mindset. So I call it the game to game, So the game is basically involves known and unknown individuals and unknown according to agreed upon rules and norms within agreed upon parameters, okay? So an example is, Simon Sinek, great book called The Infinite Game, is you need to take a look at what your objective. If you're a founder, are you playing the finite game where things are fixed and the here and now, and you could just win accordingly to the simple short-term matrix? Or do you have the mindset of playing the infinite game that you have to recognize that are known, that actors or individuals are known and unknown. There are no exact rules, and the length of play is infinite. There is no winning game. It's constant. Example would be finite game is football. There's an end and beginning. It's within like 2-3 hours, it'll get done. And there's a clear exact winners. The infinite game is a little more tricky. That's business. That's your business. There's no end game to your business. The goal is to have a legacy, to continuing on, after you. And that does not have an end. It can only be maintained. So it's also important to have the mindset. Like when you're building this relationship, like these are long-term relationships. These are not like you're just gonna help me on just one thing and that's it, and basically kick that person to the curb. That's burning bridges, and we'll get into that later. But again, you need to understand, the kind of playing field that you're entering. Is it going to be the startup space, the real estate space, the education space? Even within those spaces, you need to understand, how are you playing it? Are you just looking at it as you get A and B and that's it? Because that won't last. Compared to being considered an infinite game, that's going to be long-term. There's known and unknown actors. People are going to help you, people are going to distract you, and so forth. So it's really important to have that kind of mindset that, hey, this is the long run. It's never ending. Even before you pass, it's still going to keep going. Your business is going to keep growing, and that's the dream right there, to have that kind of legacy. So furthermore, think about the billiard, pool. The finite game only see the billiard ball as the only important game piece. So if basically looking at those individual balls as people, that's it. If you just see them as people and that's it for one thing, then you're playing the finite game. You're not gonna go anywhere, and you're gonna have a bad reputation. You're not authentic. You're not cultivating a relationship. You're just a person, trying to use them for one thing and that's it. You don't want to be that person, Look at this, look at the game as, definitely game recognize the billiard balls and the dynamic of the table fabric and the impact of the cue sticks and the interaction of the balls. Everything matters. The environment, the relationships, who's friends with who's avoiding who, so forth. And importantly, how do they interact? That's important in any field. If you're in the startup space, if you're real estate, so forth. What's happening? Within the room, what's our environment? What's not just the industry, but the people's industry and the organizations? Who's collaborating, who's not collaborating? What are those relationships when you see them interacting? So those things you have to be super mindful. It's like you have to take your perception and kind of heighten it. If you want to win this for the long run, then you got to do more than just look at people as people. You got to look at people as part of a relationship, how they interact, because it does matter. So with that, So couple of things, how you do it, get involved. So shout out to Startup San Diego. This is the current team for Startup San Diego. We host annual Startup Week. And so I'm breaking down to how to get involved. I got involved with Startup San Diego 4 years ago. Wow, 4 years. Yeah, and then so what it does when you get involved with whatever industry by like an association, either you volunteer or if you're fortunate to be, to be paid to do the work in that industry, that's awesome. But here are two things here on now we're gonna look at is the interpersonal, the human aspect, and the technical. All right, technical is something like capital things that we need to do. So why is it important to get involved, to be actively involved? It's number one, as you can see, is how will you get along? That's what people want to know. When you're in a sector, you're getting involved in your networking, is basically how well can you get along with people, especially if you volunteer in an organization. Like it really does test you. Like, okay, this person, like is a good person too, or like, I don't know about that person. The person could be like this, and yeah, it really shows who you are in regards to your interpersonal skills. Number two, it's for you to have the ability to see and interact with the who's who. Who's the key player and who the key players are and the institutions, So in the startup field, like you see certain names pop up and you're like, oh, and then you see like, that's what that person does and what's that person's relationship with these institutions. And once you see that, you'll see how things flow, how this ecosystem is being sustained by individuals and groups and by activities. So getting involved, you see that, like who do you need to connect to, who's the movers and shakers in that industry, gatekeepers, people like who has access to certain resources and institutions. So by getting involved, you're able to like not just be a part of it, but also kind of like you're telegraphing who you are and vice versa. Like they're telegraphing like, wow, this is how this industry works. So the technical, Meetup, Slack, Startup and shout out like the meetups, or you can go to the Slack San Diego Startup channels. So it's a good way. But yeah, so get involved in whatever level and aspects. So what does that mean when you get involved? You get 10 mixers. Remember mixers? Remember when people can congregate without any masks or anything? Good old days. I know these are difficult, but with COVID, right? COVID-19 right now in the pandemic, but there are certain platforms I'll go into next. But I just want to share the importance of what happens when you attend these professional mixers.
Where is that we're looking at that picture?
Okay, so before COVID, Startup San Diego, we host a First Monday. First Mondays are networking events. They're $5. You can go in and you meet people in the startup space. So this was at Society Brewing of Claremont, and we had like 100 people there.
That's great. I recognize that.
Yeah. So these are founders, developers, sometimes investors, so forth, all congregating together. So we're waiting for that day when we can do that again. But at the meantime, I just want to show you some strategies. What happens when you go to these networking events, and what does that mean? Again, both at the personal level. First things first. Once you go to these networking events, it's all in context. Okay, everyone knows why they're there, to make a connection. Do not feel weird, going up to someone and talking to them. Do not, because they know. Okay, we're gonna chop it up. And usually with what do you do? They'll 9 times out of 10, that's the first thing they'll ask. What do you do? And you do your elevator speech, and then you do this little okay, blah, blah, and then you exchange cards or so forth, or LinkedIn right in the spot, and then you go to the next person, and it's okay. People get it, But couple things. Oh, shout out to Medevac. So they do virtual networking event. It's like remember the roulette thing where like you get paired with individuals. So yeah, so check it out, meta.thinkasahi.com. Check it out. Cool. So with that,
sorry, I was just going to say, do you mind if I say something about that Metabar?
Yeah.
So I actually, this is Tanya, by the way. I just wanted to let everybody know that I use that Metabar by Asahi platform, and that's actually how I met Julius.
Yes, that's true.
Yep, all of our paths have been crossing so many times at SDSU, at Miramar, and we just never connected. I've heard his name hundreds of times, and finally it was on this platform that we were actually able to connect, and it's great. I'm anxious to see how this develops and grows, and it's a startup, local startup here that's being developed, I believe, in the Brink, and yeah, so this is it's great. Anyways, that was my little 2 cents.
Yeah, no worries.
You go ahead.
And that's them. The left, the 3 people on the left, they're the 3 co-founders of Asahi. So shout out to them. So with that, what's really important in this, I want to go deeper in this, is intent versus impact. When you actually interact with someone, a new contact, or try to foster a contact, it's really important for intent. Again, you have great intentions, but your impact, who knows? So please understand, each action in a networking event, less than a minute, people will determine your worth. I've seen it and happen. I benefited and I've been victim to it because I came out wrong, I had a bad day, whatnot, or like I just had this energy, so forth. 7% of words, your word is important. 38% inflection, the way we say our words. And 55% is facial expression. How do we look when we speak? These things matter when you're trying to cultivate these relationships. As Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's so important. And the best way to check if it's a good contact or not, after you talk to someone, like afterwards, right? Afterwards, like you go to the next person or you're on your own, do a check. In regards to, did that person make you feel energized or drained? All right. Energized or drained. And that will determine if you want to like move forward and keeping that contact or not. And gut check. You know, right? You know if it's good or it's not. And I rely on that so much. It may sound good, you know, they talk a good game, but somehow my gut was like, oh no. And I follow it. I'm like, you know, they give me card trash. And there's some of them just like, it's awesome, cool. You know, like we just vibe. Like I'm so energized. Like I want to do something. You know, I want to learn, you know, their field and, you know, let's meet up for coffee. So again, what's your intention and how your impact does matter. You know, if you're like, mean, you have this face like you have a bad day and you take it with you and you're saying the right things, it's kind of like nope, you know, something about you, you know, and they don't know you had a bad day. So again, these things y'all need to be mindful for, you know. Cool. So with that, this is my personal, my professional network since 2005, you know. So top left is government, API, Asian Pacific Islander community, education, so forth. And right is the nonprofit, and the top right is the brand new one from 4 years, startup space, and still building. So this is my network, my professional network map out. And each node are what's called institutions. You know, in the institutions, it could be one person, or I do have a direct contact in each institution, or one or more contacts, but for sure at least one. And I maintain how ish, you know, either like, hey, simple text once a year, happy birthday, or like, you know, like one of the comments or actually had to see. So I built my professional network, you know, since 2005, and it's still going, it's still changing. Some contacts move because I have to change the company and so forth or whatnot. And right now I'm trying to organize it, what I mean in regards to my greater mission, and trying to help underserved communities using economic development lens. So again, it's building your own network is how to cultivate them. So from here on out, I'm going to show you an example of how I leverage my network. All right. So I had a nonprofit. It was called the Emerging Leader Institute. It was to help young adults establish leadership training and career paths. So they have it for 3 years. I closed it down officially last year with the state of California. That was a hassle. But yeah, so we had 30 students, college students, and it was a summer program. And we had 4 volunteers, including myself, that stayed throughout the entire life cycle for those 3 years. You know, so none of my teammates said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to help you this year. No, they kept at it. We had those meetings, so forth. And we had 21 unique, volunteer their time. So what does that look like? How much did it cost to host a 1-month program? Oh, and these are some of the students, the last cohort before we had to shut it down. So yeah. And these are San Diego State students, some community college, and so forth. So this is the breakdown. So by location, by presenters, monetary value, and total hours of total. So a total of $2,000 and no, $2,090. All right. So that's how much it costs. Like, I did market research. I went to websites, so forth. And this is like from 2016. That's why you don't see co-merge workspace that no longer exists, but all the others are. So all of this costs, entire month to host a month-long session costs $2,090. That's people's time, like basically going out of work, how much it would cost them, like just to do this for, for the students, and also hourly, especially rentals. These are different places, as you can see. So I want to guess how much we actually paid. Anyone can raise their hand or comment or.
If any of you.
That was sorry, messed up.
Sorry, Julius, you were cutting out.
No, that was my fault. Yeah, so spoilers. It was all free 99. So yes, it was all free. So we did not pay $2,090, especially for the branding. Especially that cool logo that our brand consultant. That was a major cost of that year. And you say, how? How is this possible? Because of this, my network.
Yep.
Support, resource, recruitment, venues, speakers, everything was there in my network. And again, it wasn't just because they knew me, I knew them, so forth. No. There was a relationship with all these folks, all these entities I had a relationship with, which means I got my phone, I called and can I use your place for 2 hours on a Wednesday night? And they're like, yeah, literally, stop by, I'll give you the keys. Literally just like that. Or yeah, I'll do it for 2 hours or, so forth. So again, and recruitment too. The recruitment aspect was very important, especially a brand new nonprofit that's working for leadership development. And at that time, I was connected to some of the student orgs at San Diego State. And also I mentored some students who just graduated. So they were still had those relationship with the students there. And I'm like, can you do the recruitment aspect? And there you go. They just told their friends. It was word of mouth. So again, it was, and venues, especially venues. It was, again, personal and professional relationships. I just called hey, can I use your place? For 3 hours for a program. Totally, it was just off an idea, but it was based upon my name, my reputation. They knew I did youth mentorship. They knew I did community organizing, so it wasn't weird. And and also the most important thing is trust, because of my reputation. They knew they could rely on me, that I was not gonna do them wrong, or that it was a good intent and it was for a good cause. So that year, seriously, free. So again, it's leveraging your network and you map it out. So this is miro.com, miro.com. And then, yeah, it just kind of, it's a mind map app, but I used it, I hacked it into like, okay, this is, how do I map out my network? So again, this is the power of leveraging, even for like, nonprofit, start nonprofit, 2000 to zero. Like seriously, it cost me zero. So this is how you reduce your costs. You map out your network, your existing network, your relationships, and what can they offer, and vice versa, so forth. So a couple things, and then I really want to get to the Q&A. So do not treat people as silos and short-term ends to a mean. So when you look at networking, the image is an engine, right? If a certain piece breaks, the engine can still work, correct? Right? Like if the brakes short out, then that means the cars can still run, the engine can still turn, right? The lights and electronics can still function. So we have this notion that everything is siloed, like no one is affected. What one person does is not affected, or I am not affected by every other parts. That is the wrong kind of thinking, because people talk. Reputation does matter. We all talk. Like someone asks for me and vice versa. Whatnot, I call and hit someone and be like, and vice versa, like, hey, I vouch, like, hey, blah blah blah, drop your name, or like, do you know this person? Or like, what do you think about that person? Oh, especially that. What do you think about what that person's doing? People talk, and then, so it's really being aware that it's all interconnected. So what does that mean? You need to look into as an organ. So last year I had some injuries. I had a foot injury. It was like basically a sprain, among other things, but it was a sprain on my feet, and it hampered me. So think of it as organic. Think of networking as an organism. Okay, let's use this feet example. So what happens if your feet get get fractured? A soft tissue fractured. That's what happened to me. I got soft tissue fractured. What does that do? It doesn't just hamper like your mobility. Okay, that is just surface level. Think deeper. Think how holistically it affects everything. Now they have to give me drugs for the pain, and that makes me woozy. What does woozy mean? Oh, I can't go to a meeting. Like at that time I was consulting, and my client's like, man, you're not in the office. Like usually you are. Like, no, I can't be. Could we just do a phone call? So I'm missing out that interpersonal contact with my client. Or when they go to networking event, you know how awkward it was, like with crutches? But it's kind of cool. I did get the temporary handicap pass. That was so awesome. But just the fact that it's a hurdle, like standing. And then so my face, mentioned the soft skills in regards to your 10 versus impact. There's times where I'm like, I am miserable. I was so miserable, and you can see my face, like I'm so comfortable being in crutches and being crowded, and like I was just comfort, and I'm supposed to like act my normal self, and I could tell it's kind of like I didn't my usual contacts or like my usual way. Like I knew this thing was off, and I'm pretty sure it does being telegraphed, unintentionally and intentionally because of my discomfort. So again, think of networking when you do interact with folks as an organ. People do talk. They talk about you. You talk about them. Name the game. It's okay. That's how it is. But again, just being mindful of that. The people do talk, and it's an organ. It's not just like, oh, whatever that person does, it won't affect me. It might, by degrees of relationships, and y'all need to be aware of that too. So the mindset is systems thinking. Remember the pool table, how everything interacts. The fabric, the balls, how the Q6 is interacting, and even the environment. What does that look like? All these things matter. So adopt a systems thinking. These are relationships for the long term that interacts with each other and that interacts with you. All right. And then, so with that, let me summarize. So the technical, create your personal database. You can be informal. Honestly, my personal database is LinkedIn. my contacts there. It's self cleansing. People are gonna update their own stuff, vice versa, so forth. Like I ain't got time for HubSpot and put everyone's name. I ain't got time for that. LinkedIn does that for me, or my own contact list. Good enough for me. So that's my style. And also Miro, just mapping it out in regards to leveraging for top view strategy for like that daily, like I need to find contact. I just use LinkedIn, to be honest. Just like everyone's self-cleansing, everyone's updating their own like jobs or what they're doing. It's like, all right, cool. They might work for me. Okay. Technically be actively involved. Be involved with Rec, be involved with Levin, Startup San Diego, so forth. Just get involved, even volunteer. It's a good way to expand your network and who you are. You get to know them and they get to know you. So that's the technical part. Now I want to get to the interpersonal. Be authentic, okay? Be yourself. This whole fake it to make it, don't waste your time. These are professionals. We can smell BS, all right? Like, so just be yourself. You're going to track who you're going to track, right? So just be yourself. Save yourself the hassle of fake it to make it. If people there's different version of the resource you want, pick the person that, you'd be cool with. Be authentic, If you have to deal with people you want to deal with, that's life. But if you can avoid it, cool. Just be yourself, What game are you playing? Really understand that this is a long game, all right? It's an infinite game that has to go beyond you. That these are relationship with myriads of contacts that can help you and vice versa, And systems thinking, how everything relates. One context leads to another and so forth, So yeah, bam, Q&A time. Yeah, so.
Sorry about that. My
that's cool.
My microphone was cut off there. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have any questions from the audience. I saw a couple people trying to write there in the chat. If anybody has any questions, make sure that you are turning on your microphone and don't do what I just did.
I had a quick question. What do you believe is one of the most common misperceptions about marketing? Like in your very initial kind of marketing towards your consumer?
That's a good question. Just being authentic. Just or people think it's easy. Oh, you just put pictures and words together. No, it's more. It's a branding. It's your company's tone and voice, or your own personal. If you're like a freelancer, your tone and voice. How So it's this conception of just like get a picture and write something. No, there's lighting. There's branding. And what you say matters, like you can't just be like, like, like example, like say things and then you put the F word. So, whoa, is that on brand? Like, are you allowed to cuss in your brand, especially your company's brand? Is that allowed? Are you permitting things like that? So it's people have the misperception is easy. You put a picture, you put voice, and somehow it got viral. No, it's strategic. Everything is like, it has to be quote on brand.
Okay, perfect. And then when you say authentic, do you kind of mean like your marketing represents your brand's culture? So kind of like the company culture?
Super. Yes.
Okay.
Very super.
So, excuse me, this is Tanya. I actually have a question, Julius. So I've noticed that there are certain messages that come across, or we get a lot more response to and more interaction, and they usually feel like they are more authentically me when I'm posting. What would you recommend to do when you have a company that's growing and you have multiple people who are posting different things and helping with the process to keep that brand identity and that voice?
It starts with education. So when I did consulting, I basically had meeting with the staff and be like, no, this is your social brand. This is your colors. This is how you say your company, and that's it. Like And no, it's amazing. Little things like that, even in respects elementary fundamentals, people need to know, like, no, this is the text. Don't play around with the text. This is the text. This is the color, period.
And so
And also, yeah, and also do,
Sorry,
and also do a review, and also a review. So someone sent BAM to the Q&A. Just make sure, like, okay, last minute check, BAM. You know, send it out. So yeah.
Awesome. Other questions from anybody? And you're welcome to turn on your microphone and your video now during the Q&A portion. We're
anyone else? Hey Ray, it's been a while.
I get around.
Definitely.
Nice job, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Julius and I have some history through Startup San Diego.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And before I ask another question, is there any other questions from anybody out there? So I did want to ask you to share a little bit, Julius, about that, and if there's any way that some of our students here at the Rec could get involved, or is there anything that you need from any of us?
You know, just like, let's stay connected. I mean, I have projects in play, but it's kind of like, I'm fortunate to have teams, so it's kind of like managing different teams and being part of certain teams. So it's really, it's like everyone right now, during COVID, everything's uncharted territory. We know what we want to do, it's just the how. You know, I think right now, I think that's the struggle for most organizations and companies. They know the why. It's just because of COVID, the how now.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to know if any of our student founders wanted to reach out to you. LinkedIn the best?
Yeah, LinkedIn. Let me do this real quick. So right there is my contact. I'm not hard to find. You know, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You know, my email. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Julius, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for this. I know we have lots of other projects that we'll be working on together.
Yes, I'm really excited. Yeah. Oh wow, look at that, 4:50, just on time.
On the nose. Be respectful of time. That's beautiful. On the nose.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming, and then I will pass it back over to Julius, who will take us away with a closing thought, closing remark.
Yeah. Again, so you need to understand in this in this entrepreneur game, there's two types of capital: funding and social relationship capital. They intertwine. You know, just be mindful. You know, there's relationships and there's funding. Yeah. They intertwine.
You know, I think what I'd like to do before we actually kind of all say goodbye and log off, would everyone mind just turning on their cameras just for a little bit? We lose so much without that extra layer, that extra added. There we are. I'm starting to see everybody. And if you want to change at the top from the speaker view to the gallery view, then we can see all of us at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Hi, everyone.
Look at all these people. Come on, log on in. I'd love to see more of you. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to take a picture if it's okay with everybody.
Yeah, is that okay?
So,
That'd be awesome.
Is it okay with everyone? Everybody's okay with? Okay, I'm going to take a picture of all of us.
No, I want you to get a signature from every one of us before you take it.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. So are you guys ready?
All right, the lawyer.
And 1, 2, 3, cheese. Cheese.
1, 2, 3. Cool.
Cool, everyone. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Oh, Julius, did you want to add one more thing?
No, thank you. Thank you,
everyone. See you all soon.
Good seeing you, Julius.